If you want to hear a detailed review on a game no one has ever heard of, you've come to the right place. This is the Rat's review of Ring of Red, a PS2 strategy RPG. Now the first thing I want to say is that for a game that's not only a strategy title, but also an RPG, there's surprisingly little information about the game on the internet. The one strategy guide I did look at was brief, and even contained flat out wrong information about the game. TV Tropes describes this game as Nintendo hard, and I'm inclined to agree. This game is a big challenge that doesn't allow you to simply grind to beat it, and for the most part the computer won't throw many cheap shots at you. Actually, I take that back. Unless the AI is unreal, the computer will always throw cheap shots at you, and here is no exception. But before I get to that, I'll tell you about the game. Ring of Red takes place in post-World War II Japan, where the country is divided into North and South, with the Soviet Union controlling the North as a puppet state, and the South is democratic. You, the player, begin as a soldier of South Japan. And oh yeah, mecha have been invented that altered the outcome of the war. Instead of tanks, people drive around in motorized walking mecha supported by infantry. It's sort of a diesel punk universe. Supposedly these mecha, called AFWs, are more all-terrain than tanks, and can somehow withstand explosive shells to the legs and body without being instantly totaled. But whatever, it's a game, and it's the same amount of realism as most RPGs, where mortal injuries are constantly being shrugged off. At any rate, a guy named Keiho has stolen the latest model of AFW, and your job is to follow him into North Japan and capture it back, or destroy it. Along the way you meet up with revolutionaries trying to free North Japan, and they become the rest of your party. There's more to the story, and along with the characterization it's pretty good. There's a little problem though. The translation of this game is bad, although it's still possible to follow the story and enjoy it. This game was criticized for not having voice acting, but I argue that if they couldn't even translate the game properly, then there isn't even a chance that they would have gotten good voice actors. At least when you're reading the dialogue, it's not like you imagine the characters to have terrible voice acting, or at least I don't. Everyone sounds the way you think they should when you read. Voice acting is something you should either do well or not do at all. When you're reading, no one sounds unnatural or like they don't give a shit about what they're doing, or like they're trying too hard, or like they sound just plain bad. Basically, voice acting is something I can live without, and so can you. The battles in this game work like this. There's a map with a grid on it where all the units are. Blue units are good, orange units are bad. Medium range mecha attack best diagonally, or at medium range. Four-legged mecha attack best at 2 squares away, or long range. Light mecha work best attacking adjacent squares, but are not as good diagonally, and even worse at long range. In battle, when the dial is all the way to the right, you can attack. The dial on your right is your enemies. Before you attack, you aim. If you are working at a range that benefits you, your aim will be better. It makes no difference where the crosshairs are, all that matters is your percent chance to hit. As far as I know, this screen is just to make you feel like you're aiming. The battle is in real time, but it pauses when you issue commands, which you'll find is a great mercy. It sounds fairly simple, but there are a lot of variables. For example, if someone hits you while you're aiming, it reduces your accuracy and wastes some of your precious time. The battle only lasts 90 seconds, so there is no fucking around. You can move to a preferred distance to improve your accuracy, but your turn will come slightly more slowly. If you hit someone or they hit you, the mech moves back a step or two. If you let your accuracy reach 99%, you're almost guaranteed to hit their legs or their weapon, as well as do more damage, but of course it takes more time to do so. Then there's your infantry. If they're in the vanguard, they can't attack, but if you move them to the front or to the back, your mecha can't move while they move. Certain kinds of infantry only attack the enemy mecha, and the other kind will always attack other ground units, but only if they're in front. Infantry that only attack mecha die faster, and infantry that attack other infantry do less damage to mecha, and can only attack the mecha when there are no opposing ground units. Did you get all that? Well, there's more. If an infantry is in the vanguard, wait a while and it will be able to use a special ability. then put it in front so they can use it. These abilities will make or break almost every battle, so you have to choose wisely. One of your squad acts as the crew of your machine, affecting how it operates and whether or not you can use special shells. If the infantry on the ground loses all their health, they're gone forever. Usually you won't be able to kill an enemy mecha in one battle, and they will have a chance to run away and heal if you don't finish them off fast enough. Here's where the game gets Nintendo hard. Basically, you can't afford to lose your best ground units, so you can never let them lose all their health the way the enemy does. You also can't afford to lose even one of your mecha, because if you do, you lose all 3 infantry units, and you don't get bonus experience at the end of the battle. The battles only get harder, so if you lost your good infantry in an easy battle, it reduces your chances of winning a hard battle. The enemy will always outnumber you, and your mechs aren't always better enough to make up for the difference, because if enough enemies gang up on one of your units, there's a good chance you'll lose it. What's more is if you move into certain areas, enemy mechs will show up out of nowhere, sometimes surrounding an isolated unit in an area you weren't expecting. Combine that with the fact that if you lose the main character's unit, the game is over. Enemies have almost all the same special abilities you do, and sometimes are really cheap about it. For example, both enemies and players can fire special shells that automatically hit and require no aiming time. Your enemies will use these immediately, while you yourself are trying to conserve yours. But since there are more enemy units than yours, they will actually have more special shells to use than you do. Sometimes multiple enemies with these nasty shells will attack you back to back, and if you're not ready for it, you will lose your mech. The only advantage you have besides employing superior strategy is your maximum attacks, which give you things like automatic damage or the ability to dodge. Enemy bosses, however, will also have these abilities, and will spam them without mercy. Try dealing with these and win before your turn limit. But harshest of all, you can't save your fucking game until the map is cleared, and that can take forever. I know this prevents save scumming, but considering battles can last well over 2 hours, this is a serious kick in the nads. At least you can pause and come back later, but if you make even one mistake, you might just have to start the whole battle over again. Feel free to rage quit and never play again. There are little things the game doesn't tell you that you have to figure out on your own, like how infantry will only attack other squads on the right side, but when you shoot at them with your mecha, they always aim for the unit on the left. Or how stepping back when you get hit actually counts towards how far away you are. Or how the fucking dodge ability doesn't work against special shells. When you first get Jun and Kinasoto's units, they seem almost completely useless. However, if you give them squads with abilities that deal damage to other infantry, and then use them to kill off the enemy's troops instead of their mechs, they actually become crucial to your strategy. When choosing a crew for your mecha, there's absolutely no need for any unit besides the supplier type. They give a bonus when healing your machine, and most importantly, reduce your weight in between each attack. They even have useful abilities when on the ground, so these are a must-have. The game is hard, but it is also rewarding. You only win by planning carefully and using your head. And just look at how these enemy mechs get destroyed. I especially appreciate that there's a different animation depending on how it got destroyed. I also love the animation when your mechs take aim. Just look at the American characters AFW and Ayana's. The best part of the game is that you can't simply grind to defeat challenges. You have to actually use cunning and strategy to win. As far as legitimate challenges go, you get your money's worth for this game, and the only significant problem is with saving your game. Considering that much poorer games have gotten sequels, I'm surprised there hasn't been a sequel of some kind. Speaking of legitimate challenges, tune in next time when I review a cult classic, Disgaea.